Okay, it's 7:02 p.m. I hereby call the meeting of the Town Council to order. Are we echoing?
Yeah, you're echoing.
Okay, they said they got that fixed.
Testing.
Throwing out the first pitch.
Testing. Oh, there we go. All righty. Oh, my goodness. All set? All right, I did call us to order, so we will invite Pastor Joel Keeley up to the podium to lead our invocation, please.
All right, let's pray. God, thank you for your love. And I pray that we would not be selfish with that. We would just get really, really good at loving each other. And that means serving, making decisions in the best interest. It means seeing things from other people's view. It means all the things we really know it means. Just sacrificing. I just thank you so much that we've got good citizens and good community members that care and want everybody to love everybody, and that's a big thing. And I pray that you protect those that protect us, those that run to trouble when others are running from it. Pray for peace to reign, for joy to just flow, and for us to care deeply about the things you care deeply about and little, about the things you care little about. And bless this meeting, our town, and our residents. It's through Jesus that I ask it. Amen.
Thank you. Pledges will be led by Councilman Drossi.
Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Public comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the council in any manner. The council is not permitted to discuss or take action on any presentations made. Presentations are limited to matters over which the council has authority. Speakers have up to 4 minutes with a time limit determined by the presiding officer. Each speaker must have submitted their request to speak via the public portal or have completed the speaker's form. You may also email mayorandcouncil@trophyclub.org. And we do have a speaker this evening, Mr. Chris Bailey of Everybody Love Everybody.
Good evening. Thank you for having me up today. Just wanted to remind everybody that coming up next month is the 5-year anniversary of the horrible ambush of the police officers in downtown Dallas. And that's what started the Everybody Love Everybody movement. I wanted to do something that was the opposite of hate, and we had plenty of hate. I was ready to do something different. And that day, the next day actually, after, I went to Walmart and I bought a poster board and a Sharpie and made a big poster that said "Everybody Love Everybody." I went and walked around downtown Dallas with my sign where the shootings had taken place, and got a wonderful response. This is not the original sign. The other one got wet. So I went and shared my message with the folks in downtown Dallas that day, and got such a great response that I wanted to share that elsewhere. And now when I have downtime during my day, I take my sign and stand on a street corner somewhere, just to plant a few seeds and see if we can't spread a little love. Again, next month is the 5-year anniversary of that. July 7th every year now, I go out with my sign. I spend the entire day, spending an hour on a different street corner somewhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, all day on July 7th. And it means a lot to me. I get messages from people that it means a lot to them. So I think I'm just going to keep on doing that. I don't know what else you want me to say, but I just want to, I would love eventually for Trophy Club to be the Everybody Love Everybody town, and maybe the most charitable town in Texas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Has anyone else signed up to speak for public comments? That's Agenda 7. Okay, announcements and reports. We're going to move that down, but I just want to thank Chris Bailey for being here. It's a good reminder. Everybody Love Everybody, and it's also good to remember the fallen officers from that day in Dallas. And we will have the official proclamation in our July meeting. We're not having the first meeting, so it's been pushed to the second meeting in July on the 27th. But we did want to make sure to remind everyone that July 7th is our Everybody Love Every Day here in Trophy Club. So we invite you back on the 27th. This sounds terrible. 27th for that proclamation. But thank you for being here, and also your beautiful wife and daughter. Good to see you guys. And then if there's no objections, we will move on to the presentation, item 6 for the citizen survey results, if you guys are okay with that.
Sure.
And then we'll come back. Since Miss Emily had to wait so long last time, we're going to try to get her started early this evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. So happy to be with you again today and go through the results of the recent community survey that we conducted. I'm Emily Goodman. I'm a principal at EMC Research. We're a national public opinion research firm, and we kind of do community surveys like this for local jurisdictions and state government and all kinds of things all over the country. So happy to be with you. A quick note on methodology as we go through the data. We initially set out to conduct somewhere between 250 and 300 interviews, and we had an incredible response rate. We have over 1,000 completed interviews. We allowed folks to take the survey online or by kind of paper mail and send it back if they prefer to do that. So we had a lot of ways for folks to take the survey, and we had a really, really good response rate. And the data that you're looking at kind of reflects the town of Trophy Club as a whole, if you were to look at census. This is just a heat map, essentially, to show you kind of where the results came in from all across the town of Trophy Club. We had good response all over the community, and the data that you're seeing here is representative in terms of geography, but also age, ethnicity, home ownership versus renter, things like that. So very quickly, as I just sort of look through the respondent profile, so I noted that this is a representative mix of residents in the town of Trophy Club. So about half and half men versus women with regards to age, ethnicity, college education, marital status, household size. I mean, if you look at all of those variables, we have a very good cross section of the entire community that we're looking at when we walk through this data of 1,000 Trophy Club residents. So looking first at just kind of the use of services. So we saw that respondents reported using the parks and recreation facilities a lot. So specifically Harmony Park, Trophy Club Park, Independence Park, and then the sports fields and facilities. We didn't see as much use of service when it came to some of that programming, potentially lack of awareness. And then as we look at the results by those who have kids in their house and those who don't, you can see that a lot of these services are especially used with those with parents. So especially the parks, the pool too, the dog park, and then the youth and programming and things like that. When we asked folks how they prefer to receive their information from the town of Trophy Club, most folks, over 2/3, said that they like emails. But there were a lot of ways that you all can get in touch with your residents, and they kind of prefer all the ways. So that includes mobile alerts and the marquee and the website and things like that, and of course social media. So looking first at the issue environment, this was a kind of warm-up question that if you've seen any surveys really ever, you might notice this question that's a little bit wonky worded, but it's kind of pollsters' favorite question to ask, and it tells us where the community feels in terms of their optimism or pessimism. So the question is, how do you feel about the way that things are going in Trophy Club? On the right direction or on the wrong track? And 95% of people in Trophy Club say that the town is headed in the right direction. That's overwhelming, near universal agreement that the town is headed in the right direction, and just frankly speaking, the highest that I've ever seen. So the town is feeling very optimistic about the way that things are going. When we asked in an open-ended question, what is the most important issue facing the town of Trophy Club? we actually had, drawing your attention to the gray bar at the very bottom, a quarter of respondents said nothing. They couldn't come up with something that was a potential problem. But among those that did mention something, traffic and congestion was mentioned as the top response, though only by 12% of respondents. And then the lack of public services, this was kind of more general in terms, we call out a couple of the mentions, but the vast majority of those 10% of respondents said something kind of general about just services. And then the third most mentioned there is taxes, high property taxes, and things like that. And then the other things were just kind of mentioned by a handful of people here and there. When we look at this kind of in a more visual way, you can see kind of what the specific items were. People could say anything that they want, type anything into the box, or write anything down. And then we coded those into the categories that you're looking at on the previous slide. So these were just some of the few things that people mentioned verbatim, and we thought it was a cool way to show it. People in Trophy Club feel a very strong sense of community. So 84% say that they have a strong sense of community, including a third, 32%, who say that that sense of community is very strong. And only 15% say that the sense of community in Trophy Club for them personally is weak. This is a lot of numbers, and I know that members of the council have it kind of a little bit more handy, so I won't spend a ton of time on this slide, but just wanted to essentially draw your attention to all the blue. So when we look at the sense of community by some specific subgroups of the population, gender and age, how long they've lived in Trophy Club, whether they have kids, whether they identify as being active in the community, we really see a strong sense of community kind of across the board, which is a really great data point for how members of your community feel. When we asked about specific ratings, so we wanted to gauge, they obviously think that things are going in the right direction. They don't have a lot to say about things that are not going the right way, but we really wanted to kind of narrow in on some of the specific services that Trophy Club provides and really understand, your community and potential room for improvement or growth. So these are some general rating questions about the overall job that the town of Trophy Club is doing. 92% of respondents rated the job that the town is doing as positive. So that included an excellent rating or a good rating. And then we asked about safety, quality of life, overall quality of city services, and communication. We see overwhelmingly positive marks across the board. On the fiscal management item, it doesn't receive kind of as intensely positive, so not as many folks are saying excellent, but still kind of broadly speaking, very positive. And this is what we've seen kind of in similar communities of similar sizes. There's a lack of awareness about kind of what all goes into that. So some of it is because they're like, yeah, it's a decent job. I don't really know. So they don't feel as kind of comfortable making a rating to the same degree as they feel, I feel safe in my community. Looking at the satisfaction of some other services, we see the fire department and EMS specifically, very high marks here as well, including 80% who say that they're very satisfied with the fire department, trash and recycling, police. So public safety really coming to the top here. Parks and Rec, which we saw were highly used, also pretty high satisfaction. Traffic was that one spot where we saw there was a little bit more top mention of potential problem or concern. And so we see kind of less intensely positive ratings here or satisfaction, but still generally speaking, 83% of the community is satisfied with traffic safety specifically. Looking at street and road maintenance there at the top, also very high satisfaction. Overnight parking policies, which was pretty specific. We see general satisfaction, but a little bit of the negative dissatisfaction creeping in. Likewise with enforcement of town codes, economic development. Some of these, no offense, but like wonkier items is where we kind of see some of the dissatisfaction. Some of that is lack of awareness. Specifically, if you look at the town pool, we saw that there was a decent chunk of folks who didn't actually use the pool. So it makes sense that we have kind of a high number here who are unfamiliar or don't know, didn't feel like they could rate the pool, and likewise with the programming. So then we asked about a series of priorities for Trophy Club. And this was kind of things that you currently do or could do in the future. And we'll kind of get into what that future could look like in a bit. But for now, we're kind of looking at some of the basic services that the town of Trophy Club provides or could provide, and seeing where do people rank that in terms of their priority list. So we see, again, public safety elements really coming to the top, very, very high priority for the community, fire department, EMS, police, ensuring the safety of vehicles and pedestrians. So traffic safety, very important. Trash and recycling, filling potholes, just kind of the fundamentals of what you all provide. We see very high priority for all of these things. And then when we see kind of some of the intensity drop off, just in terms of, who's rating this as a 7 on a scale of 1 to 7, where 7 is a very high priority, we see some of those like economic development items, community engagement, libraries, rec center, things like that, falling a little bit relative to, police and fire, please show up when I call you. But still, on the face of it or individually, you see kind of high priority for all kinds of things that the town could provide. Pickleball courts was not as popular. 44% of folks said that was a very low priority for them, providing or creating dedicated pickleball courts, though there were 20% of people who gave that either a 5, 6, or a 7. So what we did with those two kind of laundry list of items. So if you recall, we had the satisfaction list. How satisfied are you with these various things? And then we asked again on a different scale, okay, how important are these, or what is your priority of these items? We looked at all of that together and created this matrix so we could see, okay, are there any pockets where we see very high priority and high satisfaction? So those are very high strengths, or we're calling them the most valued strengths. That's the number 1 blue dot on the upper right-hand corner. Then on the 2, we've got things that are a higher priority for people, but they get somewhat lower satisfaction ratings. And this is where we're seeing kind of priorities for improvement. Lower priority, lower satisfaction. These are lower priority items. So things that people don't care about as much, and they might be less satisfied with, but that kind of goes hand in hand. And then the items that are lower priority but higher satisfaction. So these are just things that are not really top of mind pressing issues for folks, but they're still important to some, but they're actually very satisfied with kind of how things are going. So we plotted these all out. So blue is kind of positive, high satisfaction, high priority, and then red is lower satisfaction or lower priority. I will admit, because we saw such high satisfaction and such high priority on so many of these items, we stretched the scale a bit to kind of artificially, show you where there's room for improvement. So we saw fire and police and trash and recycling really kind of in that nice zone of high priority, high satisfaction. Where we see some potential room for improvement is in that 2 quadrant. So with traffic, street and road maintenance, potholes and things like that. So there's where we see some opportunity. The economic development and youth and senior programming, lower priority and lower satisfaction, potentially, related to lack of awareness. So potential for communication there, if of interest, specifically if it involves, a particular pocket of the community that would really benefit or appreciate that service or programming. And then in the 4th quadrant, we see kind of a lower priority, so not like top of mind concern 911, but still relatively high priority and relatively high satisfaction. So parks and playgrounds and sports fields and things like that. So moving into the trash pickup preference, we asked a very specific question about, something on the table or maybe was a couple weeks ago, but we see that the strong preference from the community is to keep the current trash pickup program that has the stationary recycle bins and a weekly bulk pickup. 66% of respondents preferred that over receiving larger rolling trash and recycling carts but have less frequent bulky pickup. 22% opted for that, and then we had a few people who didn't have a preference. So moving into the tax sentiment, we asked a series of questions on an agree-disagree scale. This was really to kind of understand general sentiment about taxes. What are the tax attitudes to understand, and we'll show you kind of how these all cross against each other in a second. But we see that people really rate the quality of life as very high, and they show some willingness to invest in what that might mean as in taxes. But we also see that the town is pretty sensitive to kind of how taxpayer dollars are spent. They are very trusting of how you spend their dollars, but don't necessarily think that it's necessary to raise taxes. But you see that bottom bar there. Town services are important to our quality of life in Trophy Club, even if it means raising taxes. 43% disagree with that statement, but we still have, over a majority who agree. So there's certainly some tax sensitivity, but you kind of put that alongside the fact that folks are so happy and invested in the community. There is some potential openness, but it would really depend on what the thing is that you're asking about, and what it would do and what it would look like. I'm actually going to move to this slide, which shows you might have thought to self, wow, it looks like, how can some people agree with, two things at the same time that seem like polar opposites? It's totally natural. People hold conflicting opinions in their head all the time, and we see it here, and we see it on taxes specifically. So we see that 27% of the community is considered kind of base support for a tax increase or willingness to invest. So they agree that taxes are important. Services are important, even if it means raising taxes. And they disagree that they would vote against any tax increase. So those are like relatively tax-friendly members of the community. On the other side of that, drawing your attention to the red box, 39%, so a plurality of folks in the town of Trophy Club are kind of the base opposition. They disagree that town services are important even if it means raising taxes, and they agree that they would vote against any tax increase no matter what it was used for. Then we've got kind of a third of folks in the middle that agree with both of those things. So they can see kind of how the benefits of services and willingness to invest to improve services or maintain them. And then they also agree that taxes are too high and they would probably vote against any tax increase. So it, again, really depends on kind of the thing. If you look at this by some of those key subgroups, it's pretty even across the board. We see younger women are a little bit more in the kind of pro-tax or base support tax group, 37% compared to 27% of the community overall. And then just a couple of pockets, those who are active in the community, which makes sense. They're sort of more familiar with the services and things like that. So looking at the tax sentiment, we kind of forced this choice, which was town services should be increased even if it means raising taxes. 9% of the community agreed with that or preferred that in this kind of three-way matchup forced choice question. 81% of people agreed that town services, taxes, and fees should be maintained at their current levels. And then 9% agreed that taxes and fees should be reduced, even if it means decreasing town services. So overwhelming kind of maintenance of the kind of status quo on taxes and services. So just a couple more slides here on specific Trophy Club projects. So we asked about upgrading Trophy Club Park to include additional services like boat ramp, safety lighting, picnic areas, camping, and stuff like that. And we saw 60% of the community are supportive of that idea, including a quarter who was strongly supportive, 40% opposed the idea. And then constructing and operating a community center that would house meeting rooms for public gatherings and space for senior activities. We saw kind of, mixed support for that, 54 to 46 support and oppose. And then this was the specifically the community center. We see those who have lived in the area a bit longer were more supportive of that, not a huge surprise there. And then older women, though we did call out specifically space for senior activities. So it's not a surprise that it would be appealing with that group. And then likewise with the Trophy Club Park, folks who are kind of newer to the community, excited by the idea of that additional service. And then we see, kind of going hand in hand with age, men and women under 50 alike are more supportive of enhancing the park. And then we asked kind of one last moment, anything else that the community wanted to share as they were taking this survey. Again, they could say anything they wanted, and we put these into kind of similar categories. A quarter of folks said, nothing to say, but we had some people mention, Trophy Club is a great place to live and raise a family is just the thing that they wanted, you all to know as you reviewed the findings from this survey. Need a community center, limited senior services and programs. We did kind of put that in people's head as a potential project. So we kind of had some regurgitation, if you will, of some of the ideas and concepts that we tested in the poll. Likewise for the tax element. When we asked about taxes, we had some people say, don't raise taxes. So they wanted to make sure that got in here, and then kind of non-specific things related to their own personal situation. So this is just the visual of that same thing, just kind of some of the verbatim responses. So I think I'm going to pause there, stop sharing my screen, turn my video on if I can figure out how to do that, and happy to take any questions you may have.
I don't think we have any questions, Emily, but I know that we're going to schedule a session to talk about the results in detail at a later time. But thank you very much for hanging in there with us and speaking us to this evening, and for all the hard work you guys did on the survey. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, back up to announcements and reports. Mr. Wade Carroll.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just a couple of things real quick. One of the items that we had to discuss is the update on the strategic plan. I know that has been something that's been on our watch list for a while, and we're going to be delivering on that. We will be delivering that in December. Some of the things that we're going to be working towards is the description, or some of the things that will be included in that will be the description of the town vision. We're going to speak to the financial health of the town and how to keep it that way. We're going to provide goals, strategic initiatives, and as a whole for the town and within the departments. And then we're going to have measures for those goals and making sure that we're meeting those council priorities and those citizen priorities. We've accomplished several of these steps that are involved in this process already. We've had that initial council retreat back in January. We've completed our comp and class study for all employees. The citizen survey, as you just saw, was completed, and we got some great feedback from our citizens there. We've had our initial discussion with council on the fire department and police department service levels and their pay. And then also we looked at the initial discussion with council on the long-term financial health of the community and how some of those things that we saw in the survey, some of those things that some of those priorities that council want to bring forward, how those could possibly affect that in the future. So we've got some good steps that have already been completed. We have some steps that need to be completed in order to continue working on this. We have a SWOT analysis that I need back from both council and staff. So we'll be putting that thing together. That's our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis. We'll also have a discussion with council on all department service levels, just to make sure that we're meeting your goal and our citizens' goals for all those different services. We will have to finish up our parks master plan. Tony's done a great job on that, and he's almost finished with that now, so we expect to see that very soon. And then we're going to be developing those goals, objectives, and strategic initiatives within each department. So we'll be working towards that as well, along with estimating our future revenues and costs. And like I said, we're going to complete this and get it to the council by December 2021. Any questions on that item?
Nope.
Okay. Going forward, just another shout out for the 4th of July celebration. We just want to make sure that everybody gets as many opportunities as possible to hear about that event. The 5K will start at Byron Nelson High School at 7:15 a.m. The Parade of Patriots will begin at 9:30. The celebration begins at 6 p.m. with all the events and the activities for children and the food vendors, that kind of thing. The fireworks are set to begin at 9:40. And then we're going to have a shuttle service this year like we've done in the past in case you have the parking overflow and we have to park some folks up at Byron Nelson High School. We'll be shuttling them with golf carts to and from the event. In the next week, a lot of those are already online now, but by this weekend, we will have maps of the facilities. We're going to be giving you a list of the food vendors. All those things will be online. Be very easy to get to on the front page of our website. If you just click on the event for the 4th of July, it'll take you to that 4th of July page. That's me. I'm a little too close to the mic. It'll take you to that 4th of July page, and then you can get all this information, including where to park, the parade route, all those different maps, any streets that may be blocked during the parade. We're going to have all that information available to our citizens. So we're looking forward to having a great event that day and making sure that everybody has as much information as they need to get this thing going. The last thing I just want to bring up is we have our EDC 4B budget meeting will be held on July the 7th at 6 p.m. That's just the first announcement for that. We've already got that scheduled, and we've got a quorum has already said that they can be in place that night, so we should be good to go. Any questions on any of the items? I forget to look over at our
I
council
know, I'm
members
remembering to look at,
not present. Okay.
I'm looking. Hi, guys. Didn't get to say hi earlier. We do have council members Wilson and Sheridan on our videoing and conferencing in with us this evening.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'll take a seat. Thank you.
We're down to the consent agenda. Greg?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 4 and 5.
Second?
And I have Councilmember Schaffner wishing to speak.
No, I was gonna remove, number, 5, but he's already made a motion.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by, was that Councilman Monger? And did you want to?
No, I was just gonna remove 5, but that's fine. I think that, I'll just make a comment real quick.
Okay.
I think that, the survey, demonstrated that priority, I don't, you remember the slide 2, 3, 4, and it put 2 as priority, was streets and drainage, so, which is exactly what 5 is, taking care of.
Okay, great. So we can, all in favor? Where did,
Lost Wilson.
okay, any opposed? Okay, motion passes with 6 votes. Thank you.
Oh, he's waving.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you vote yes? Okay, so unanimous vote. Thank you. This is always fun when we have.
Greg, I can relate to that situation.
You're- Okay, let's see, we did number 6. So we are on to individual item number 7, take appropriate action regarding resolution 2021-04, approving a flag lowering policy for the town of Trophy Club. And Councilmember Margaret and I brought this to the agenda after long conversations with longtime Trophy Club resident, veteran, and just beloved guy, Jim Perro. And I know you've been working on this for a while, and I'd like to invite you up to speak. Thank you. And I do have a form.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. My name is James Parrow. I'm a 17-year resident of 8 Brookfield Court here in Trophy Club, and I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you this evening to discuss something that has been on my heart for quite some time. It originally came on my heart back in 2015, and it's been there ever since, and now I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this with you tonight. I'd like to begin by, if I may, Madam Mayor, giving you some background information as to why this has been on my heart all these years and what's caused me to come here tonight. First of all, I'd like to say that this all started back on July 16, 2015, when Lance Corporal Squire K. Skip Wells, Sergeant Carson A. Holmquist, Staff Sergeant David A. Wyatt, Gunnery Sergeant Thomas J. Sullivan, all United States Marines, and Logistics Specialist 2nd Class Randall Smith, United States Navy, gave their lives in service to their country at the hands of a radical Islamist jihadist terrorist in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The terrorist attacked their recruiting station, and after firing more than 100 rounds with his AK-47, he was finally dispatched by the local police department. At the time of their death, as a veteran and a citizen and a patriot, I really expected the commander-in-chief to issue a proclamation declaring this to be a national tragedy and lowering our magnificent flag to half-staff in honor of their sacrifice. Unfortunately, that did not take place until the Senate and the House of Representatives lowered their flags to half-staff 5 days later. Following their action, the commander-in-chief then gave orders to do the same across the globe at all military installations, government buildings, post offices, ships at sea, etc., as is his right. And that, because of the fact that they were overlooked for so many days by their commander-in-chief, I just felt that it was important for veterans to try their best to support other veterans when they give their lives in service to our country, or first responders for that matter, and don't get the recognition for that sacrifice that they've justifiably earned. And back in 2015, I contacted the town attorney and I contacted the town manager, and both agreed that it was worth bringing before council. Unfortunately, it did not pass at that point in time. There were some concerns expressed about the fact that if we were to take such action to allow the mayor of Trophy Club to issue a declaration to lower the flag on the day of the funeral of a hero that was being buried or having his funeral service here in Trophy Club, that if we were to do that, we'd be lowering the flag almost on a daily basis. And the reality is, the last hero that was buried here in Trophy Club, to my knowledge, was on Joshua J. Strickland's services held at the Methodist Church back in 2013. So it's been 8 years since that event took place, and even then, to the best of my knowledge, as far as I can remember, the flag was not lowered for him that day either. And so these are kind of some of the things that brought this to my mind, and I wanted to come before you tonight. And I appreciate Councilman Munger and the mayor allowing this on the agenda for open discussion. And I'd like to point out also that even people who serve their country in the roles that you are serving your country. For example, Mike Swoboda was the mayor of Kirkwood, Missouri, and because of his vote on a fine for a resident of the community, that resident killed him while he was serving in the mayor's role because of his vote. John Roll, a U.S. District Court judge, was killed because he was supporting Gabby Giffords. Christopher Stevens, of course, in Libya was killed serving his country as a elected representative, as an appointed representative. Mike McClelland and Mark Hayes, both district attorneys in Kaufman, Texas, were killed in 2013 because they filed charges against a corrupt justice of the peace. And before he went, he took both of their lives. So the point I'm trying to make is that even as an elected official, you put your life at risk in this day and time by taking the votes that you take. And were your life to be taken because of your elected role, then I think you deserve to be honored by your community and the people of this country. We're all Americans. We all love this great land. And violence is increasing day by day. We see it across our land. And the importance of respecting those who serve our country and give their lives for our country, I believe deserve to be considered on the day of their funeral, not outside of Trophy Club, but if the funeral is held here at the Methodist Church or the Latter-day Saints building or the Church of Christ on Indian Creek, that on that day, when people drive into Trophy Club, I think those who are going to that funeral should see our flags at half-staff so they know that that hero is being honored and respected for their sacrifice. And on Memorial Day, we get together and honor all of our heroes. I'm simply saying, why don't we pass a local ordinance that allows the mayor to make such a declaration here in town for our local heroes? And we have before you a copy of the Town of Trophy Club resolution that covers this issue, and I would like you to look at it, and you'll notice there's a number of highlighted pages on this proposal, and I've been informed that some of these, the grammatical changes with the removal of words and slash marks and so on, have been already incorporated by the fire department in their policy letter, according to Chief Taylor, and I'll let him come up and address that. But there were other words that are in contention. And I would call your attention to the Town of Trophy Club Resolution 2021-04, and the first, second, third, let's see, one, two, the fourth whereas. You'll notice I added the word national and then the word and town flag at the request of the mayor or designee as a public sign of respect and remembrance. And the reason I did that is in the next whereas, because again, when the Supreme Court of the United States back in 1990 declared that disrespect of the American flag would be permitted under the constitutional rights of First Amendment free speech, then First Amendment rights to honor the flag must also be equally protected. On the next page, under the 342 flag policy, you'll notice I added a paragraph that's yellowified that says, in the line of duty, or as a direct result of injuries sustained in battle, or as a direct result of service-related injury or disease, such as PTSD, TBI, or Agent Orange. Those of you that are not veterans may not have a full depth and comprehension for what those conditions are, but those of us who have served and know warriors who have experienced PTSD or have suffered TBI as a result of an IED explosion under their Humvee or other vehicle, understand these are injuries to the brain, to the mind, to the spirit of that warrior. And they may not die on the battlefield that day, but they may still forfeit their life at some point in the future. Those who served in Vietnam understand the long-term effects and the deadly effects of Agent Orange. And so that's why I incorporated that in there, because we have residents in our town, I believe, if I remember some previous Facebook posts, that have the effects of Agent Orange and are dying from the effects of Agent Orange all these years later. And so if they were to give their life even now, I think, in my mind, they should be respected by having the flag of their country lowered in respect to their sacrifice. In that same paragraph, I added the word or town flag as well. And then I would point out where it says the flag code is a guide only. In bold print, I did that, with no penalty or enforcement provision. And I think that's important for everyone to understand. A lot of people look at the flag code as if it was law, and that if we don't obey the law, we're breaking the law and should therefore be subject to fines and penalties. In reality, the flag code is a guide. It is a suggested plan of respect for the American flag and how it's used, and it's been revised 9 times since it was first adopted on June 14th and 15th in 1923. It's been changed 9 times because circumstances change, politicians change, presidents change, and they have the authority to make those changes. For those of us that served in either Vietnam or in Korea, at that point in time, if you were out of uniform, you did not have the right to raise your right hand and salute the flag out of uniform as the flag passed by, or as you sang the national anthem, or as you pledged the Pledge of Allegiance. You had to put your hand over your heart the flag code has been revised, and it now allows veterans who have served in civilian clothes, with or without a cap, to raise their right hand and salute the flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance and sing the national anthem as if they were in uniform. That's a change that took place to the flag code most recently. And so what I'm trying to point out is that the flag code is a guide. It is not law. And if you're going to follow the guidelines of the flag code, they should be followed consistently. I would point out to the council the very display that we saw earlier about the July 4th celebration, with the flag being used in advertising and being covered over partially by some writing and some verbiage, is in and of itself a violation of the flag code. The Jeep that appeared on Facebook today, that's going to be in the parade on July 4th for the Parade of Patriots, which is done up in the livery of the American flag, is a violation of the flag code. We do this all the time. You ever been to a football game or watch the Super Bowl on Sunday? And before the Super Bowl, what do? A bunch of Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, sailors, Coast Guardsmen, they carry a huge flag onto the field. And then they wave it by hand on that huge field. And then there's a flyover typically that takes place. Do you know that what they are doing and have done for decades is a violation of the flag code? The flag code tells us that the flag should not be displayed on a float in a parade except from a staff or as provided by this action. The flag should not be draped over the hood, the top, the sides, or the back of a vehicle. It goes on to also tell us in the flag code that the flag should never be used for advertising purposes in any manner whatsoever. The flag should never be carried flat or horizontally. And it also says in Code E of Section 8, the flag should never be fastened or used as to permit it to be easily torn, soiled, or damaged in any way. Well, that's where you go back to the Supreme Court ruling, because they voted as the highest court in the land that such a prohibition is unconstitutional. And that if you want to burn a flag, you want to spit on a flag, you want to wrap your dog's waste material in the flag, that is your right as an American citizen, for which all men and women who have served died to protect. When the founders put this in the Constitution, they were remembering the way it was under King George, and the fact that unless the government gave his subjects permission to speak out against something they didn't like, they could be severely punished or even put to death. And they were not going to let that happen here. And so they allowed free speech, no matter how egregious, how unpleasant, or how disrespectful, to be made. And it's up to us to defend that right, so all men and all women in this country can say what's on their mind. And so I just wanted to point out a couple of those items. And then going back to the actual policy, I would point out that down at the bottom, the Flag Protection Act of 1989, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew it was in there, on June 11th, 1990, permitted less than respectful treatment of the U.S. flag in direct contradiction to the United States Flag Code. And based on that ruling, respectful treatment of the flag must certainly also be permitted and protected. What I am proposing by lowering our flag to half-staff the day of the funeral that takes place in Trophy Club for a hero that qualifies under this guideline is a respectful use of lowering the flag to half-staff. And so the rest of the documents are there before you, and the last section here, section 342.5, flag change notification, I added the words, or the mayor of Trophy Club or his or her designee, along with the President of the United States or the Office of Governor, because again, that's just in the guidelines of the flag code. It is not law. And it's not disrespectful to honor the death of a hero. And if we want to do this locally, I am suggesting that we consider approving the mayor's right to make such a designation for that specific purpose on that specific day for those specific hours, which are spelled out below in 342.6. Lowering the national flag, the state flag, and the town flag from sunrise to sunset on the day of the funeral in Trophy Club and nowhere else. And so I hope that I've presented my case in a way that's clear and understandable, and it's just my point of view. And I'm not going to say you're going to agree with me or disagree with me, but that's just how I feel. And I love our veterans beyond words. I have been involved here in this town with the Memorial Day events at the Medellin Cemetery. I was deeply involved with the creation and sustaining of the Veterans Day service here in town, and also the sale and installation of those wonderful pavers that honor specific individuals who served this country bravely and proudly and who deserve the respect under the circle of honor of our flag. And so if you have any questions, I'll be glad to address them. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, no one can deny your passion and love for service, whether it's to our country or our community. And you've done so much in so many
I
different
haven't
ways.
done enough. Thank you.
You've done a lot. And I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
If we have specific questions, I don't know if Chief Taylor would like to address some of these changes, because I know this policy falls under your department. And stick around, Jim.
Sure can. Madam Mayor, Council, first of all, I'd like to reiterate what you said. I love the passion. I love what Mr. Perro brings to the table. He's a true patriot. He's very passionate, and he is very eloquent in his presentation. Understand that we're the purveyors as the fire department of the flags in town, and so we raise and lower them at the discretion of the governor of the state of Texas, because we're a local entity, not a federal entity. So the reason when we initially put this policy into place, it was to basically simplify or to kind of rein in what it is that we do. We address the flags, we put them at half when we need to do that, half staff, from the direction of the governor of Texas from their office. We also wanted to put in there, we were asked to put in there the 6 dates where we can fly the POW MIA flag. And that was also placed in there. We didn't want to get caught up in a lot of the minutia that you can also put in there. We based this off the flag policies, both for the state of Texas and for the United States flag policy. As you can see, the initial policy that we submitted, there are a couple changes in there that I did make. You have that on the dais. There are 4 changes that we did make based on some suggestions, and those are in red, if you've been able to read through those. That does not address the mayor being able to make a declaration to lower the national or state flag, but only the town flag. In this, it discusses the notification to the state of Texas in the case that there is a death or severe injury or a significant event in Trophy Club in our community, a local incident that would require the state flag to be lowered, that they can petition the state and be guided by the governor's office direction. That's how this one is currently written. We didn't want to get off into other areas in that. We kept it as simple as possible so that it's very clear on when we lower the flags and why, and it also leaves room for a town flag to be in there if that's your choice, and also allows the mayor the discretion to lower the town flag if he or she sees fit to do that in the future, if there's ever a local event that might predicate that. So that's how this one's written. The policy on the dais does have those 4 small changes in there. If that is agreeable to you, a motion and a second on that will approve that policy. However, I am willing to do whatever the direction of the council is on this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Monger?
Yeah, I want to say, Chief, thanks for the research that you've done on this, and I appreciate, Wade, the research you have done on this as well. You guys are the experts, right, for us on the flag code. And and so I agree with the way that you have rewritten this. I think Jim did a great job when he walked up here and he talked about the flag code being a guideline and the respectful treatment of the flag. The mayor can, in my opinion, order the American flag going to half-staff if there's a local law enforcement that's killed into town. It doesn't have to be written in law. The mayor can do that, right? Our policy is we call the state, that's what we're proposing, is you call the governor's office and you say, can we have permission to do this? And if the governor's office says no, we can still do it because it's the code, it's not the law. And like, again, Jim so eloquently pointed out, respectful treatment of the flag is allowed by the flag code, and that, in my opinion, would be respectful. So I appreciate everything. Jim, I appreciate your continued focus on this. I want to give a shout out to World War II veteran sitting in the back, Bill Splikel. He used his super ninja skills and snuck in. Nobody even saw that he was back there. It's nice to see you back out and about, both of you. But thank you. That's all.
Councilman Droste.
Did y'all have something first, and did y'all fall off? You just pull yourself off.
To actually talk long enough that you pulled your.
Oh, so, I admit this is something that, like, I struggled with here, and you know, Mr. Parro, you know I have the utmost respect for you, and between things you said on Facebook and things you said in the public, and things you've done for our country, I respect the heck out of that. I would say though, like in this situation, this is one of the times that just as veterans, I think we disagree. You know, I saw too many times where when I was serving, things that the flag became political. The flag lowering became a political statement for things that were not really covered in the flag code. And I lost my brother. I buried too many brothers for various reasons that have served in the recent wars. And it's an emotional thing for me to see the lowering of the flag become a political statement that some of our politicians make. And I would prefer to keep the town out of those type of politics. I don't necessarily always agree with the way the president lowers it. I think that it's also not covered in our charter for us to have the powers to lower that. That would have to go to the citizens to change that. I do think, though, that and respect where you're coming from on that. And when this, I do want to say this, though, when this agenda item did come to the table, it reminded me of something that means very dear. And I'm not sure if it's taught in schools. It was barely taught when I was there. But if people really want to understand the flag and the lengths people have gone to keep it raised, I highly encourage people to read the story behind the Star Spangled Banner. And for those of y'all who don't know, a quick history lesson is at Fort McHenry, when the British Armada was pummeling that fort, and they said, if you just surrender the fort, if you just lower the flag, we'll stop the shelling. And those guys took turns running out there to hold the flag up. And if you see the pictures, the flag is at a cant because of the bodies as guys took turns going out there knowing that they were going to die. And that's one of the reasons why I just don't want the flag to be a political statement in Trophy Club. I would prefer to keep it at the flag code as is, leave it at the federal and state level, and for us just to stay out of that. That's just my personal opinion. But I respect my brothers in arms that we may have differing opinions, but that's mine.
Councilman Schaffner.
Yeah, I think that one mistake that we made way back, and Jim was adamant that we do it, but we were trying to cut as much money as possible to come in under budget and on time with this building, and that is we only put 2 flagpoles out there, and we should have put 3. And I think Jim told us we should have put 3, and we were like, no, we're cutting money everywhere. We cut all of Lamont's fine woodery that was going to go in the council chambers. So I think that if we make this motion, whichever way we go, and my position has always been, we don't need an ordinance or a resolution to tell us to do the right thing. So in other words, when former Mayor Engelbeck passed away, I thought we should have done it on the day of his funeral. and we don't need any piece of paper telling us that we should do that. The funeral you're talking about is a classic example of, he actually was buried in Washington State. I looked it up, Greg, and, but he came here, you know, they did all the formalities that come along with that, and I agree with you. On that day, shouldn't need a piece of paper to tell us to do the right thing. You know, Alicia should have that power to say, lower the flags, without a piece of paper. You know, it's just the right thing to do. But, you know, whether we lower all the flags or we lower just the town flag, certainly I think that if we make a motion tonight, we should add that third flagpole and put the flag of the town, you know, on its own, so.
Councilman Monger?
Well, I neglected to mention earlier that one of the things that I really like about this is that we're writing into here the POWMIE flag, that we will fly that. That's been something that a lot of veterans have wanted for a number of years. So thank you for putting that in there.
So we had a resolution in our packet.
Oh, you got a.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just looked up and y'all weren't waving. Okay, Councilmember Wilson. Hold on, we can't hear you.
Thank you. Mayor,
Hold on, Councilmember Wilson.
am I on?
Councilmember Wilson's first.
Am I audio?
Okay.
I can hear you.
Oh, there we
You
go.
can? Okay. My comments are real brief.
Okay, we'll hear from Councilman Sheridan.
I'll start over. I don't think we need a resolution to fly the POWMIA flag. I think we ought to do it now without a resolution. In my opinion, lowering the American flag has become a highly political event. Many times people don't know why the flag is lowered. There's nothing wrong with the way the town currently hangs the flag or lowers the flag. If an incident occurs, the mayor or council has the right and the privilege to, on a case-by-case basis, ask the governor to lower the flag. Therefore, I'm not in favor of this resolution.
Okay, Councilmember Wilson.
I don't have any comments. I was trying to get your attention, so to acknowledge Dennis, that Dennis wants to speak.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Well, I had my name on there first, so you have to wait your turn, Mayor Pro Tem Lamont. So we had a resolution in the packet, and I've been listening to everyone speak, and I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-04 with the following changes. And I'll just read it with the changes, and then we can notate them later. Town of Trophy Club Resolution 2021-04, a resolution of the Trophy Club Town Council approving a flag policy for the Town of Trophy Club supported by the Trophy Club Fire Department for accepted dates and occasions for lowering the national, state, town, and POWMIA flags in accordance with the President or Governor's orders to be displayed at municipal facilities and parks. Whereas the town identifies that lowering the flag of the United States is intended to be a visible public symbol of respect for heroic services and sacrifice of military personnel, police officers, firefighters, and public officials upon their death and at times of national, state, or local tragedies. And whereas the flag code provides that the President of the United States or the Governor of the State of Texas has the authority to direct when the flags are lowered to have staff, and noting that the flag code serves as a guide only. And whereas the town's flag policy sets out the raising and lowering flags, flag locations, provides for the flying of POWMIA flags, and provides for flag change notifications. And whereas the town's fire department is charged with the town flag policy and subsequent updates, providing for flag notification, and provides for local death and tragic event notification, and requests to the office of the governor to lower the state flag at the request of the mayor or designee as a public sign of respect and remembrance. And whereas the council has determined it appropriate to approve the resolution providing a policy for local events related to the United States flag and the Texas flag that are consistent with the intent of the flag code. Now therefore be it resolved by the Trophy Club Town Council, Section 1, the prisoner of war missing in action flag is to be displayed to have staff at Town Hall and the Veterans Memorial Park on the dates as provided in the Trophy Club Fire Department flag policy that is attached and incorporated herein. Section 2, this resolution shall become effective upon its approval.
Second?
Any more, okay, we'll have discussion. Mayor Pro Tem Lamont?
I just really, really appreciate the comments and the input from the veterans, because that's who I really wanted to hear from. And I also agree, we need the third flagpole.
I just wanted to clarify, Councilmember Sheridan, that this has the mayor asking for permission from the governor's office, not arbitrarily deciding on their own. That's not written. What's written in here is asking. And that's what you said you wanted, but then you said you could not support it. So I want to make sure you understood what we were talking about.
It was the resolution in your agenda packet.
Yes, it is.
And Councilmember Drossy?
So, and just to be clear, I mean, I understand that asking the governor's office here, and I'm probably gonna vote a certain way. I would say that I would support the installation of a third flagpole for the town and the POW flag.
I'll do a second.
And I would probably, if there's, I know we've already had a second, but if we could change it and just have just the town flag lowered, that would, just wanted to put that comment in for you.
So, yeah, we have a motion and a second, so before.
Yeah, but, okay, I'll amend
For
the
this,
motion.
and then we can,
I'll amend the motion.
Yeah.
but,
Still-
this is already our policy, really. There were some grammatical
Then-
changes and whatnot, so.
And then I guess that let's,
But we can vote for this, and then we can,
yeah,
just
I
as
would
there's
prefer
a
if we clean it
process,
up
right?
before we voted.
Have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have to,
Yeah.
that's an administrative item, yes. So we don't have to do that, so in order to clear the floor, we need to go ahead and vote on the current motion.
Did he have two things? Did you have two things besides have one besides the flagpole?
Well, that was.
We don't
move on.
need-
We gotta vote on what's on the floor.
Okay.
We don't need to vote on the flagpole, that is an administrative issue, so we don't have to do that. So right now, we're voting on to approve Resolution 2021-04 as read, that's been corrected from the packet. All in favor?
His name's
But, did you want to discuss or make an amendment?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, motion carries with 4 votes.
Oh, you gotta get the note.
I'm sorry? All opposed, sorry. All opposed, 1, 2.
Wilson voted.
Oh, we voted 4, okay. Okay, 5 in favor, 2 opposed. Motion carries. Thank you.
And I think staff heard our desire to.
So thank you, Chief Taylor and Interim Town Manager Carol for working a lot on all of this research. And of course, the biggest heartfelt thanks to Mr. Jim Perro for always keeping us on our toes and making sure we are being respectful and remembering our military and giving honor when honor is due. And like the guy said up here, we don't need a piece of paper to do the right thing. And so you can count on myself and your council to make sure we are doing the right thing and paying respects when we should be. And thank you for all your service, for all you do. We appreciate it. Good to see you, Bill. Okay. We are on to 8. Take appropriate action updating the sports subcommittee with current council members. And this is from Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and Councilmember Schaffner and Mayor Pro Tem Lamont.
Make a motion to appoint council members Lamont, Schaffner, and Gerasi to the council sports subcommittee.
Second. Oh, can I second?
We get a second?
Who wants to second that? I got all, I'll let somebody.
Gerasi was a close vote.
You-
You already said it, you're good, good.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the subcommittee, sports subcommittee? Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Okay.
7 votes, motion passes. Thank you guys for being on that sports subcommittee. All right, number 9. Take appropriate action relating to revising the July Town Council schedule of meetings.
I'll make a motion.
Madam Arwell, you want to just make a motion? Sure.
I'll make a motion to amend the July council meeting, canceling the July 13, 2021 meeting and rescheduling it to July 27, 2021.
Do I have a second? Second. Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilman Schaffner. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Motion passes. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay, item number 10, future agenda items list. Mr. Carroll.
Mayor and council members, so we're just revisiting the future agenda items list this week. If you look in your package, you'll see there's 4 items still remaining on the list. Several of those items were already taken care of. So if you look at number 1 regarding the entryway monumentation, we're going to need to get that the subgroup together again from council subcommittee and start working through that. We've got some bids back, but we're lacking a couple of the statues, or lacking permission to get one of the statues. So, but we can get together again and get some more direction from that. That would be perfect. And then on number 2, developing the strategic plan. You heard my announcements and reports earlier. Number 3, the draft, the citizen survey, which was completed, and then you got the results tonight. And number 4, the Freeze and Nichols hazardous mitigation plan was completed as well and turned into the TCEQ as required. So at this time, if you have any future agenda items that you would like to put on the future agenda items list, we'd be happy to do so and address those in the future.
So, go ahead.
No,
Councilman Schaffner.
I was just gonna ask if we can go back to this future agenda items being a standing item on the agenda like we used to have it. So it's always on there.
Okay.
Not just brought up, that way every meeting we know what's on future agenda. Somebody can add something, take away.
I like that. That's good.
Yes, sir. We can make that happen.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with Philip. Do we need a motion to remove those 3 items 3 and 4, or you're just going to remove them?
No, we'll just remove
Okay,
them.
Are you sad you haven't been able to make lots of motions tonight? Okay, anything else for Mr. Carroll?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It is now 8:17 p.m. and we will recess into executive session pursuant to the following designated sections of the Texas Government Code, 551 Opens Meeting Act. Okay, it is now 9:47. The council recess back into regular session. We have item 11A, no action, and B, no action, and item C, our town manager agreement. Do I have a motion by Councilman Gerasi?
I make a motion to approve the new town manager agreement for Wade Carroll as discussed in executive session beginning on July 1, 2021.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Gerasi and a second by Councilman Monger. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? It's unanimous. Welcome, Town Manager, Mr. Wade Carroll.
Thank you. Yeah.
I know I said a little bit of something last time when we named you interim. I'm knocking over everything here, so I'm so excited that you said yes. You've obviously accomplished leader here in Trophy Club. You've done the role of interim town manager and acting town manager for many, many months in the years that you've been here. We love how you're straightforward and hands-on and present here, and you've managed pretty much every single department that we have, and you just fit well within our community, and you have a very solid work ethic that we appreciate, and we are lucky to have you, and welcome as of July 1st. So would anyone else like to say anything?
Welcome aboard officially.
Thank you.
Look forward to it, yeah.
Thank you all for the opportunity, and I look forward to hopefully many good years here.
Okay, item D was amending the town secretary agreement by adding town governance officer to the current title. And I would like to speak to this, and this is for our Madam Secretary, Ms. Basic. And just a little quick history lesson, so bear with me, I know it's late, but when the early colonists came to America, they set up local forms of government to which they become of custom. And municipal clerks or town secretaries have recorded the history of the town or the city. That was the only objective during that time, but many do not realize the number of loose ends of the city administration that this office pulls together, as it serves all administrative departments and as mayor and council as well. So you see the stereotypical term of secretary really doesn't apply to the job description. Over the years, unfunded legislative mandates related to elections, campaign finance reporting, public information requests, records management, boards and commissions have been passed on to cities and towns, and that falls on our town secretary. In addition, they've absorbed additional responsibilities of the entities they serve, not to mention the various technology, software, and updates that are now required in this day and age. And that, of course, takes a lot of extra training and certifications to do that as well. So in light of that, I think it's the right time and the right thing to do in order to shed light on such an antiquated term as we move our town forward into this century. So I recommend the title, I make a motion that the title of Town Governance Officer be added to the Town Secretary title. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you, our new Town Governance Officer.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, I think that is everything for this evening. Anyone else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second? All in favor? Unanimous? We're adjourned at 9:51.